Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. I'm doing good myself. I'm grateful being here, being able to see you guys, being able to see this day, being able to see the end to another year. It's been a wild ride. And before I continue, I want to let you guys know that I don't know why, but the device I'm using to film creates a lot of noise, so it distorts the audio. And so I either have to speak extremely loudly or else I'll realize that, oh, there's no audio to the video I've just done, or it's extremely muffled that you can't hear anything. And so when you see me shouting, bear with me. Or if you see me, or if you hear the audio is not as clear, also bear with me. And I don't see that changing anytime soon until I get a good camera, until I get the right devices to help me document and film uh, content better. At the moment, I'll just have to do with what I have, which we'll also get into a bit shortly. With that said, I know that this year I have been very inconsistent with uploading, posting. It's been one hell of a year, let me put it that way, because so much happened and I was just barely keeping up. I was struggling to keep up with those things, leave alone film them when they're happening. It's been a year of divine speed. A lot has come so fast, all the way from January to now. Today is 31st of December 2025, and I am now rushing to do editing and gather the videos that I've been able to at least take throughout the years, not the years, but throughout the year, so that I can upload it for you guys to see, because I didn't get the chance to upload them during the year. And even being able to film was a challenge in itself, I'm not gonna lie. And so I'm just gonna give a brief recap of my year, because there are some things that I didn't film, I didn't document, but there are ones that I did. So you're gonna see them uploaded. Sorry. But for the ones that I haven't, I'm just gonna give a brief recap right now, including those ones as well that I have been able to document. And so, at the beginning of January, as you guys know, last year there was a teacher strike, actually a lecturer strike. Maybe you don't know. Did I tell you? I'm not sure, but there was a strike. And so it set us back a bit. We didn't really get to finish the semester. So the semester dates were revised, and we ended up finishing our semester at the, is it mid January? Yeah, mid January. And we did our exams. In fact, what happened was, when the semester was delayed, because they went on strike on September, because our semester starts on September. We came back in October when they reached an agreement with the government, and then they went on strike again in November. Maybe the agreement wasn't really honored by the government. And then we came back in December. So as you can see, there was a lot of instability during that period. And then they revised the semester dates and they extended it to January. And so when we came back in January, we didn't come to continue learning. We finished learning in December. Even actually, there were some units we didn't even cover, to be quite honest. But so when we came back in January, we came straight into exam. And so we did exams and then we closed. Once we closed um, in January, of not even a week. Did it even go a week? We went straight back to school, because our second semester is supposed to start in January, ideally. But because of the delayed semester dates, we had to go back as soon as possible. And so, all the way right out the gate from January 2025, everything was just coming in hot. So I went, did my exams, which I wouldn't say I was well prepared for, but I did them. After the exams, I Went back to school, obviously for the second semester. Things were moving fast. Mind you, I was still broke as hell. I needed money. And okay, that has been a constant for the past like 2 or 3 years already at this point. But you know, the longer you go without, having built a source of income or something stable that gives you some cash, the more dire it becomes, because the less grace you have for yourself and the less grace people have for you. Because as a guy, by 25 latest, I should be out of my father's house and taking care of myself, right? That is a, grace when there's so much grace for you. Otherwise, as early as 19, 20, you should be out. And I know that's probably a pretty high bar, pretty high standard, but I feel like that's what men need to build their capacity and their bandwidth to withstand um, the knocks, the hits, the challenges that the world hits them with, because that is what builds a man, stoicism. And so I feel like that's what men need. They need to be put under stress, under pressure, not too much, of course, but just enough to mold them, because I feel like that's a net positive. It's the good kind of stress, the good kind of pressure, where they realize, you know what, I am destined for greatness. I'm destined for more. I'm not just gonna be mediocre and be um, um, what's the word? Um, Incompetent. You know, they're able to stand up and go ahead and achieve greatness. And so they need to learn how to withstand the challenges that comes with that. And so for me, I feel like that is the standard for me, you know, by latest 25. And this year, I turned 21. So I'm grateful for another year. And as you can see, it's a year closer to 25. And it's already past the 1920 that I've just talked about. But for me, as much as 25 is the latest, the most ideal time for me, or the one that I have set in my mind, is 23. I feel like by 23, if I have my shit together, that will be perfect. 25 is if by 23 I'm not there yet. And for me, I didn't really set the 1920 um, to be the time for me to leave. Actually, I just feel like the earlier you do it, the better. Some people, they want to do it earlier than I want to do it. That's why I said 20. I said 1920. 23 is the most ideal one for me. But it's all relative to everybody. There are others who want 30. There are others who want 35. But that's not me. Anyway, um, so I was still broke as hell. I was actually, this year I was the most desperate, so to speak, to find a source of income. And I think at the time, I was actually with my cousin, Geoffrey, aka Marcus, aka Guitarre Senior, because he's older than me. And we were always trying to find a way to make money. And I don't know. Yeah, actually, I told you guys the story about Venture Wave. We got washed, and so the next option was uh, we were looking for ways to make money online through our cousins who are abroad. Actually, it was one cousin. So basically, the idea was, because majority of these sites that give online tasks or jobs do not allow people from majorly third world countries like ours. We're not qualified to get those jobs, maybe because of geographical restrictions. So we thought that maybe we could ask our cousin who is abroad to create an account for him, and then we could be doing the work for him instead of him doing it himself. And then we split the money that comes. uh, I don't want to say that he wasn't willing to help, because you never really know what goes on in someone's mind. Because I don't believe that he wouldn't want to help us, because he actually responded and he said, you know what, we can do it, but then he didn't really do it. He went ghost. So we gave up on that. That was now in February, March, around there, when you was still in school, for my second semester. It was hectic. It was, hey, yo, I'm telling you, that semester was crazy because tulikuwa tunakimbizwa. You were moving too fast to cover the time that had been lost. And we actually ended up extending the exam period. It was supposed to be in April normally, but now we did it in May, early May. So February, March, we didn't really get anything to help us make money. And April as well, nothing. Then at that particular point, we were gearing up towards our industrial attachment in school. So now I was in third year, and I was supposed to do my industrial attachment after third year, right? Now, at this particular point in time, this is, I've just told you guys how everything was moving fast and everything was just coming really quickly from the get go, from January. Now, it got even more intense and more demanding at this point because, as we were looking for something to do and make money, we didn't get. And so anything that, came our way, we will take it, you know? And so, um, April, remember Heshimika? Heshimika was this organization that I actually didn't work with. I did their program in 2023. I graduated as valedictorian, and uh, they invited me back to be part of the organization in 2024. I wasn't able to because I had a lot going on during that year. And then, I mean, if you remember also that year, which is last year actually, I didn't post much. Um, or not post much. I didn't post consistently because there was also a lot going on. Actually, it was a lot less of a lot going on in terms of, the things I was engaged in, but it was more of, just internal stuff. I wasn't really at my best, and so I just faced a lot of challenges, even getting involved in stuff that I could document and upload for you guys. So anyway, um, so April now, Hishimika comes to me and they reach out and they tell me, you know what, we have this thing that we want to start. We have this new sub initiative that they want to launch, which is a variation of the program I did with them, but now this one was geared towards university students specifically. The one that I did was a master course open to anyone and everybody. But for this one that they wanted to launch this year, they wanted to niche it down to university students specifically. Okay. Now, I didn't document much of this because it was mostly virtual. It was actually 99% virtual. The only instances where we had physical, like a physical event, were actually twice: the commissioning ceremony at the end of the program and the launch itself at the beginning. And I took a couple of photos. There were no videos that I took, and we uploaded them on our social media, which you can go check out, of course, and you can see that I've been there. But anyway, they reached out. They tell me, oh, we have that thing that we wanna launch. We want you to be a part of it, and this is how we'd like you to contribute. And I was like, you know what, bet. At first, I was very reserved. Actually, they reached out in March. Was it March or February? Around there, they reached out, but I wasn't really responsive because at the time I was thinking, I want to focus on getting a source of income. And this was more of a volunteering initiative. It was more of a volunteering task. And I didn't imagine that they would be paying me anything. So I was like, do I commit to this or do I look for some that gives me some money? So I was a bit, reluctant. But eventually, when everything hit the wall, I just felt, you know what, maybe I could just get involved and see what it has to offer. Maybe it opens me up to other opportunities that can help me make some money. Maybe in itself, we can get compensated if it is just a little bit, for the time and the energy that you're putting into it. But I wasn't really expecting it to be the case. But I was also hoping that probably it could give me some exposure. And at the end of the day, even if I don't get paid, there's a win in that I could say, you know what, I work with this organization on my resume or on my LinkedIn that could give me some boost or some competitive advantage in case there are other opportunities that come to play. So I took the opportunity, and in May is when we had our first strategic meeting. I'll look for some of the photos and the videos that I took, because for that one I did take, because it was an in-house meeting and we were planning, that program and the launch of that program. And it was actually a whole day affair. Now, mind you, at this time we were doing our exams, like I told you. Now, the meeting came during the week of the exam. So I went and did my exam on Monday. Then was it on Tuesday or was it on Wednesday? The meeting was, and luckily those 2 days were free on the exam timetable. I didn't have an exam on those 2 days. The next exam was on Thursday and Friday. So I can't really remember whether it was on Tuesday or Wednesday that the meeting was scheduled for, but I went for the meeting. It was in town. It was a physical meeting, it wasn't a virtual meeting. It was a whole day affair, and we, strategized and we shared and we got things underway. And I'm grateful that we were able to set the foundation of what we wanted to see. Now, you are collaborating with another organization called Youth Spark. Amazing guys who do almost the same thing that we were doing, and they were doing it so well, and they contributed heavily during the program. But now during this time, I told you that it gets more intense, right? So I did the exam in January. February, March, April, we were going really fast with the curriculum to cover for lost time. April, I accept the offer to join Hishimika. May, we do our first strategic meeting, and we were supposed to launch the program the end of May. So this was the beginning of May, the first week. So I do my exam for those 2 weeks, my semester exams for those 2 weeks, and I was still balancing it out with, setting up and establishing what we needed to establish before the beginning of the program of Heshimika, because we were supposed to launch it at the end of that month. We didn't eventually launch it at the end of that month. We extended it for for reasons which I'm not going to disclose here, but we ended up launching it mid-June, although we onboarded them at the end of May. We onboarded them at the end of May. We launched the program at the not the beginning, the wait, yeah, mid-June 14th. I remember it was 14th June this year. And so after I finished my exams in May, and actually didn't even get time to recuperate. Actually, I didn't finish my exams and then got into Shimika. I was balancing it out during that same period, and I carried on with it until we finished. And then, mind you, if you remember what I said, I was supposed to do my industrial attachment. So I had to look for an organization or a company that I was going to work with during that industrial attachment, because it was a curriculum expectation. So my dad helped me out with that, which I'm grateful for. I'm really grateful for my dad. And I was able to find uh, an internship spot at Quickmart supermarket. For those who are in Kenya, you know Quickmart. So that is where I did my internship. And I was supposed to start as soon as possible. But then, mind you, because I was still doing Heshimika even after my exams, I didn't really get the time to look for an organization to work with on my industrial attachment. And I thought that maybe I could work with Heshimika, but then at the same time, the expectations according to the guidelines laid out by the university is the supervisor who would be allocated to me by the university will need to come to the physical location of where I'm doing my internship. Now, Heshimi did not have a physical location. Let's be clear. It was fully virtual, okay? Because everything we were doing was virtual. And even when we were going to do the physical meeting, we weren't going because we don't have physical offices, okay? So we were going to coach's office where he was working as an assistant chaplain at Kenya Methodist University. So he borrowed the boardroom of that uni for us to do our meeting there. Okay? So it's not like I would do my industrial attachment at Ishimika because I wouldn't have a place to welcome them or to welcome the industrial to welcome the university supervisor to. So I had to look for an alternative. Now, let me just tell you this now instead of telling you this later. I only came to later realize that that wasn't even the case. In fact, the university supervisor did not even need to come to the physical location to supervise. Well, obviously it depended with the supervisor you were getting, but ukiongea vizuri na yeye, si lazima akuje. It wasn't a must. If you talked well with him, in fact, I realized that the people who were even doing their attachment virtually for organizations that were abroad. So it made me realize, you know what? I shot myself in the leg simply because when I started my attachment on 9th of June, I didn't imagine it was going to be that intense. Oh my lord. Hey, it was one of the most demanding. Oh my god. Yo, it was one of the most demanding endeavors I have ever dedicated myself to. It was crazy. It was wild. Now, mind you, I've just begun my attachment and we're supposed to launch Ishimika. Now, in the lead up to that, now let me tell you the role I was given at Ishimika, okay? I was given the role of community experience officer, so I was the one supposed to head the department of the community experience, okay? So when we onboard the mentees who would have signed up for the program, it was my job to make sure that their experience within the community, our WhatsApp channels, community groups, everywhere, they're having a splendid time and one that they can remember and one that was respectful. I was supposed to man the community engagement guidelines, keep everyone in check, keep them engaged. That was my task. Now, at first, I just thought, this was gonna be a walk in the park. My God, was I wrong? I was, yo, I've never been wrong my entire life. It was one of the most demand. In fact, it's like I was running the whole organization by myself, because you see, when you have an organization whose offering is mainly focused on people, like people are literally the whole point of the organization existing. Because without the mentees, we are nothing. You know, we're just a name. You know, because we are offering programs. So without people to learn from us, then we don't have a source of income. Um, we don't have, we literally don't have anything that we are doing. So they were literally the whole point. And because they were the whole point, the person who is dealing with them directly is the one running the whole operation, honestly. Well, obviously not. Because, you know, the whole team was involved because we were a couple of us. We were around 11, 10, 10, 11. Okay, including the youth park guys, I think we were 12. So we all contributed. So don't take it as if I'm saying that they didn't do anything. We all did a lot. We all did in our own rights, because unajua mtu anaweza sema, you know, my role was hectic, was demanding, but that's because you don't know what the other person's role was, and they might also think that mine wasn't that big of a deal, you know. So you know, it is what it is, but it was extremely demanding. So I'm not trying to downplay the efforts of my other team members. Shout out to all of them: Coach Yula, Bill, Phil, Shalom, Daphne, Kimani, Bernard, Taka, Cindy, um, Jalen, me. Yeah, I think I've captured all 12. Yeah, they did an amazing job. We all did an amazing job in our own spheres. And I remember that the beginning of it was tough. It was it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because one of the other tasks, because you are operating on a very lean budget and with a very lean team, I I we needed to delegate some responsibilities even to people whose um, primary role wasn't that. So, for example, we had to revamp the slides. Yo! That was actually one of the most hectic and demanding tasks that I had. In one of the videos that I have put together during my quick mat attachment, actually, the first day, I was sleep deprived. Actually, to a very dangerous degree because I went to work on 2 or 3 hours of sleep. Anyway, I'll get to that. But on this particular period, I was tasked with the responsibility of revamping the slides with my executive director's help. Now, this is to show you how lean we were operating. Our CEO himself, herself, sorry, was doing these tasks with us. So we were revamping the slides together, we were collaborating on that. And we did well, actually, to be quite honest. But it was extremely hectic, and we were running on very strict timelines. And honestly, I really underestimated how hectic it was going to be. I was sleeping late, waking up early, and all I was doing was that work. Now, mind you, this was before I started my industrial attachment. When I began my industrial attachment, it got so bad that morning I realized, what, if I go on like this, I will not be able to complete this work. So I needed to, link up with, actually not really link up, but I needed to call my executive director and tell her, what, let me do the first two modules, and actually the first two units, because we have three modules, 7 units, 2 units for the first module, 3 units for the second module, 2 units for the third module. So I told her, let me do the first and the third module, which were 2 units, 2 units each. Okay. And then I told her, please do the second module, which was going to be 3 units. And because the second module was to come later, I knew that I would give her enough time because we were doing one per week. Okay, so this is how the program was running at Ishimika. We were to do 9 weeks. We do, because the modules were three with 7 units, these were 7 weeks because we were doing 1 unit per week. So there were 7 weeks, and in the middle, after every module, we have a reinforcement session. So after module 1, reinforcement session, after module 2, reinforcement session, after module 3, reinforcement session. Now we didn't get to have a reinforcement session for module 2. We only got a reinforcement session for module 1 because of the strict timelines we were operating on, simply because coach was traveling to the United States on August, and he wanted to complete the program and do the commissioning ceremony right before he left. So we couldn't spare another week for that, so we ended up for going the reinforcement session for week 2. So we did around, was it 8 weeks? Yes, we did 8 weeks of the program. And because we had the reinforcement session for week 1, our executive director had 3 to 4 weeks of working on module 2 slides. And I had, because at that point, by the time I was beginning my industrial attachment on 9th of June, I had done module 1. I think I had done a significant amount of it. Yeah. But I was still a bit behind because the program was starting 1 week from that point. Because it was 9th, then we were launching the program on Saturday, June 14th, and then on a Monday, June 16th, we were to begin. So this was Monday, 9th June. I had not completed the slides, and they were needed also for preparation by the facilitator, who in this case was coach, because he was the one who was teaching and coaching these mentees. So I needed to send them days beforehand. I ended up sending them on Sunday night. Was it even Sunday night or Monday morning? Because I needed that week to make sure that I finished both and polished them. Actually, I worked on the first unit before finishing up on the second unit so that I could send the one that was, pertinent and most urgent, which was the first unit. I ended up doing so, and coach was able to review. The good thing is these are his concepts. It is his philosophy. So he already had it in his mind. So he just wanted to see what we have done, because we had the old slides which we would have defaulted to, but we needed something new for this new program. That's why we revamped it, and in fact they were extremely different and so much better. Oh my days, bro, I did a good job. Oh, I did a good job. And Eula as well. Actually, Eula probably did a better job, because even the tool we were using, she maximized on it properly. But we both did an amazing, amazing job. And I'm so glad that also the team acknowledged that. And they also felt like, you know what, we are actually ushering in a new era. We are doing something new. It's not the same old, same old. You're not using the old slides. It just felt new. And it was amazing. Anyway, so I was balancing, getting the slides together while also doing you know, oh, I did not mention. Now, not only was I tasked with doing the slides and the community experience work, but I was also tasked with setting up the learning management system of Heshimika, and the one that you are going to use for the program. Okay? Now, to put this into perspective, during the program that I did back in 2023, there wasn't any learning management system. It was only leveraging WhatsApp groups. Documents were sent there, communication was done there, and obviously we're using Google Meet for the classes. But this time, they wanted us to do, the team, we all agreed during the strategic meeting that you're going to do things differently this time. We are going to be more professional. We are going to be more strategic. We are going to have systems in place. And so we set up a learning management system. Guess who was tasked with that responsibility? Your boy. So that was another responsibility on me. Now, I had never set up a learning management system before. I had never developed a curriculum uh, for uh, for e-learning. So this was all new stuff that I was learning, on the job. Hey, so you can imagine, I'm experiencing all of these things all at the same time. And I haven't even gotten to talk about how hectic my internship was. So and this is when I feel like, even after realizing that I would have done my internship at Heshimika anyway, nilifeel ni kama nilijichokesha sana during that whole period between June and August. Nilijichokesha sana. But nonetheless, I'm still grateful for both opportunities, because, they taught me something. They taught me a lot, actually. Anyway, I set up the learning management system, and this one was actually supposed to be set up way before I even started working on the slides. So I needed to set it up, create a tutorial for the team to go through, and the students as well, the mentees in this case, so that they can know how to navigate it. And then I was still the one supposed to man it by uploading the documents, the co-evaluation exercises, the communication, the recordings, everything, the updates. I was the one supposed to do. I was supposed to make sure that the community engagement guidelines were being upheld. Everything was all on me. Okay, and mind you, I still have the community experience on our social platforms, where we were relaying the communications to them on. So um, there was that. And then we launched the program and we began. Now, during the beginning of the program, actually, when we were having those meetings, there were three roles in every session. Every session, now when we were running the actual program, every session, because we were doing a session per week, during the meeting, during the session, there's supposed to be a facilitator, a repertoire, and a moderator. So the moderator is the one who is, leading and guiding uh, the session. Then the facilitator is the one who is now doing the teaching, which in this case was coach, and then the repertoire was like the chief whip. So he or she was the one to make sure that um, the chat is clean, nobody is messing up with the chat. The people who are being invited into the meeting are the ones who are supposed to be in the meeting, not just some random person, someone who's gonna come and disrupt the proceeding, and making sure that there's discipline and everything is running smoothly, right, on the back end. Um, Even doing the recording and providing it for the for the mentees. So I was given. I did not want to be a facilitator because of the internship I was doing, and I didn't really trust that I would be prepared well enough for those sessions. So I said not to be given the facilitator role. So I was given repertoire. Actually, I was only given repertoire because moderator also required a lot, but there was a time when I had to step in. Actually, multiple times I needed to step in because there was, some of the team members were not available. So it was just a hectic time. It was a very demanding time. And just to show you how much more demanding it was. Remember when I told you that I was still working on the slides, even after the program began? Yes. And mind you, I was still going to QuickMart. Now I began my QuickMart internship, like I said, but I was still working on the slides. I was still manning the whole community and the learning management system. I was still reaching out to the mentees on a personal level to create that personal experience because we need to make sure that we do it right. And I was, still running the community. It got so intense that every day, let me say mostly every Monday, I would walk into QuickMart. The first order of business was I go to the washroom. I sit there for around 40-45 minutes, and all I was doing was sending updates to the groups, to the learning management system, to the mentees to make sure that they're aware we are having a session today because the sessions were on Monday. And I was also giving them updates of things that they should be aware of. I was also keeping them engaged with conversation and sharing thematic topics that we would tackle, especially because the program was on excellence in leadership. I didn't mention that. So we were my task was to engage them on, topics on the theme of excellence in leadership. And that was also part of the things that I was doing during that whole time when I was in the washroom. So the washroom was like my second office. This is still the first 2 weeks of my internship. Now let's cross over to my internship at QuickMart. So I go in the first day. Oh my god. Natumiwa kama mtu wa mkono. So it's like actually my timing was off because kuna kuanga na uh, delivery cycles. Okay. I learned that when I was there. So delivery cycles, this is how it works. But it had another name. Was it delivery cycles? Um, Restocking cycles. Nimesahau honestly. But anyway, this is how it worked, right? So in the center, in the store, that is the the supermarket, right? Kuna, everyone has a role. There's the manager, the branch manager, the deputy branch manager. Then there are the supervisors of the outsourcing agencies that QuickMart was using to get the talent or the employees that they were working with on the floor. Okay, so there are those supervisors. Then there is the branch inventory lead. Then there is the customer care. Then there is the chief cashier. Okay. Then under those, each, they are the tellers, the one who are manning the checkout points, and then in the customer care, there is the customer care attendant, and then there is the e-commerce attendant. So they were working with Glovo, Jumia. Actually, not Jumia. They weren't working with Jumia at the time. Working with Glovo, they had their own platform called Qsoko, WhatsApp Business. They were also working with e-Citizen. So basically, people who wanted to order online would order, and they will fulfill their orders and get their products to them. So that was part of the customer care. Then the branch inventory lead, there was the receiving clerk, and then there was the back office. Now, interns were like actually a separate because you were just ni kama sisi tulikuwa tu hapo wa kusaidia, you were just people to help. So anyway, interns, because I was an intern, obviously I wasn't really deployed or stationed at one particular department, but I could if I wanted to. I would just tell the branch manager this is the area that I want to be stationed at, and he would make sure that I'm stationed there and I will show up there. But for me, because I didn't know how things worked, what I did was I I ended up doing um, on the first week I was just lost, honestly. I found another intern. His name was Regan. Shout out Regan. He really, really helped me to adapt and to fit in. He gave me pointers because he was there. In fact, he was there the previous year. He came for a second time because it was a paid internship. So he came back for a second time for the money, and he actually was there already a month in. So when I was introduced to him, he he really helped me. Oh my God, Regan, bro, you are G man. Because he made me feel at home. He made me, because when I got into QuickMart, I was like, how am I going to navigate this? I was honestly, I was so anxious. I was distraught. I didn't know what to do. But then when I was introduced to Regan, Regan was a lifesaver because he made me feel at home, and he made me feel safe, and I didn't have to really think much about stuff because he was able to guide me. I was able to ask him questions because you see, with the other employees, everyone was working, doing their own thing. Everybody had their own role, and you couldn't just impose on them also because they already have that culture within them. So it's like I'm the new guy. They don't know me. It's like anyway, I I just found it hard to fit in with them. It's not that they weren't welcoming, they were very welcoming actually. They actually, one of them made sure I ate every day, and they really took care of me. But there's just that comfort you gain by being around someone you are on the same level with, or you're in the same role or department with, so to speak. And so because we were both interns, it just felt right. And so he was able to help me out. Um, so the first day, I was able to get some help from Regan. I was also able to explore on my own the layout of the place. I was able to ask a couple of questions where I could. And it was just the beginning. That was 9th of June, then 10th of June, 11th. And with each passing day, I was dreading my stay there. I hated every single minute of it. It was extremely, and I'm not saying that in an exaggerating way, it was extremely demanding, stretching, and exhausting. I was waking up at 6:45 and going to work, and I always got home at 6. So I was literally dedicating 11 hours of my time to this place. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. 11 hours of my day. And mind you, for those 11 hours, 80-90% of it, I was standing or moving. So there wasn't time to rest. It was just always work, 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 work. So the first week was dreadful. I hated every single second of my time there. And I couldn't imagine that I had 8 more weeks of that left. but I didn't have a choice. I had to do all 8 weeks. And it got to a point in the second week where I started contemplating changing my organization because it got so bad. Yo, got so bad that I actually got sick. I actually got physically sick because of the exhaustion and fatigue. I didn't get used to. I never had my body stretched to that level. And mind you, this wasn't just because of the work there. This was also because of the work at Heshimika. In fact, on Monday it was so hectic because the program was at 6 p.m. 6 it was running from 6 to 8 p.m. I was getting out of work at 5, got home at 6, didn't even shower, went straight into the meeting. Did the meeting for 2.5 hours at times, then went and showered, ate, went to sleep. I didn't even have time for myself, time for my friends. In fact, I went ghost on everybody for those 3, 4. In fact, it extended because even after the internship was over, I just wanted time for myself, so I couldn't just go back and talking to people. So I stayed I stayed offline for around 4 to 5 months because I came back around late October, early November, talking to people. So from June, so this was around 4 to 5 months. Anyway, so I was working on Ishimika while still in QuickMart, which is actually a violation because that's a conflict of interest. You're not supposed to be doing any other work when you are there. And sometimes it will get me into trouble if they don't see me for the first 45 minutes of the day because they would assume, say a job. Especially if people have not seen you get into work. Ooh, there was a day I almost got into trouble, but this was actually the very last day that I did my time there. Anyway, uh, the program was running. I was working on the slides, but because now I had delegated the module 2 slides to my ED, I felt so relieved because now I had less pressure. I'd already set up the LMS, so I had less pressure on that as well. And I found a system because, hey, thank God for AI. It came in clutch. It was really helpful. It helped me curate the content that I needed to curate to engage the mentees and share what I needed to share. And I'm grateful that, everything at that point, everything was now working out for my good because now I was at least getting enough sleep. By the third week, I was getting enough sleep because I had worked on the, you know, first unit, second unit slides, so I didn't have that much pressure. And so for the other slides, I began working on them on the third week, which mind you was the reinforcement week. So I had 4 weeks that week plus the 3 weeks of module two. So I was able to get the work done in good time. And I was also keeping them engaged. So everything was now running a bit smoothly. And then during this period, um, my internship at QuickMart was, getting more intense because I was now getting exposed to to new new things, and I was learning new things. And from the videos that I have attached or that I've uploaded on my time there, you will see that a lot was happening. Actually, I got sick, we got looted, a lot happened during that time. And I also got into a lot of trouble, by the way, with my manager. We didn't get off on the right foot, to be quite honest, because I remember um, the first day I was actually late. I didn't mention this. I was late by 1.5 hours. And you know what I was late doing? I was late preparing slides for Shemika. Oh God. So it was bad. But I figured I'd rather be late on the first day than on the second day. Yet my mom was telling me, no, don't be late on the first day. Here you go late on the second day, but not on the first day. But then I was like, it's better on the first day because they don't know me. They weren't even expecting me. So it was better for me to be late on that first day because there will be more grace because it's my first day. And so when I was able to do that, then funny enough, it was something I really needed to do on that day. If I didn't do it on that day, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it. So I'm glad I did. Anyway, moving on. So my second office was the toilet at Quickmart, and nilikuwa nafanya kazi ya mkono, and I was saying that my timing was off. I know I didn't finish on that thought, but my timing was off because I was talking about delivery cycles. I've forgotten what there was a name that they gave it, about restocking and all that. So when the stock ends in the store of the facility, and okay, actually, let me go back. I was giving you the structure of um, QuickMart, and the organizational structure of QuickMart, or at least that branch particularly. And under who was it? Under the branch inventory lead. Yes, there were also the category buyers. I had not mentioned that. So the category buyers, their role was simple: to make sure that they always account for the stock, right? So they were always doing stock taking uh, of the stock that is on the shopping aisles, and also in the store, to make sure that they have enough on the aisle and they have enough to 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 reshelve when the products on the shelves or on the shopping aisles are out. So when the stock would be almost out, when they would go and stock out, actually they needed to avoid stock out, so they had to always do orders, right? So they always had to do orders, and that is by accounting for the amount of stock that they have. And so there were seasons, there were moments like once, no, twice every month. So in every 2 weeks, they would get, they would place um, bulky orders, right? Big orders. So unaweza kuta during that second week, it's just orders coming in, orders coming in. So we had to be on the receiving bay, mostly for the men, of course, because carrying those boxes and those products wasn't easy. So we mostly had to be at the receiving bay that whole week. And it was hectic, especially during that week, because obviously each and every day there were orders coming in, always. It's actually, I can count, there were only like 4 days during my whole time there where there were literally, actually, not that there were literally no orders, but the orders were so minimal. On average, they will get 50 to 60 suppliers per day. Now on these particular days, hata sidhani walikuwa wanafika 20, they weren't even getting to 20 or even 30. Let me say they were averaging like less than half what they were getting on average during those 4 days. I think it was one weekend in June and another on July. I can't remember quite well, but zilikuwa sijui hata ni siku 3 ama 4 in total, where it's like practically there were no orders coming in. But now there are those days when the orders were crazy. Like the whole day, that's the work. Just getting in orders, getting in orders, getting in orders, getting in orders. It was crazy. And so the month that I started, that 9th June, that week, ndio sasa orders ilikuwa, they had placed those bulky orders the previous week. So they were coming from that Monday. So mi nimeingia hivi, I just get into the organization and I'm thrown to the receiving, and it's crazy, Lord. I mean, you'll even see in the videos that I was hiding in the toilet. I was hiding in the toilet because of how crazy and how exhausting it was. And yeah, for that week specifically. So yeah, it was crazy. Anyway, I I eventually did week one. That whole week was, it made me dread being there because of the timing, like I said. And after that week, second week came, wasn't as bad. And because I felt like, you see, during that period, especially when you're talking about May to mid June, those 6 weeks, they were extremely demanding of me. Extremely, like they stretched me to the max. But I feel like from the third week of June, things got a bit better because I now, as much as I was dreading, actually, when it got to week four, I was honestly, genuinely contemplating changing my attachment because nilikuwa nasema, since I've done only half and I still have 2 months because the industrial attachment was supposed to be done 8 weeks. The university guidelines dictated you're supposed to do a minimum of 8 weeks. Wanasema since I'll have finished June, nitakuwa na July and August, so I could still change and to do my attachment elsewhere and still get the 8 weeks done. And so by the time I was getting to the fourth week of June, or to the fourth week of my attachment, I was contemplating maybe I should change because I was dreading my time there. I hated it. I genuinely did. And so um, during that time, I decided to, I think because from the third week of my attachment, I started getting used to it, getting used to the people, engaging with them, talking to them. Actually, not as much the third week and the fourth week. It actually grew mostly fifth, sixth, seventh week, huko. But for the third and fourth week, I kind of got used to the schedule. My body kind of got used to it. Actually, fourth week mostly because the third week is when I had the breaking point where I got really sick, and I had a sick off for 3 days, and that was the week we also got looted. So I think I needed that rest during that week, and then I came back. Um, and I came back on Monday of the fourth week. And I got into a lot of trouble with my manager during those first few weeks. Actually, the whole of May and June, let me just say, not even those 6 weeks, those 8 weeks, the whole of May and June were just crazy for me. It was just too exhausting. So come July, now we are in July. Now I'm getting into week 5, week 6, week 7, week 8. Right? So during this period, I started being more open with my colleagues. I was engaging with them. We were cracking jokes, having a good time. I got assimilated into the culture, you know. And I think I started really enjoying my time there. My attitude started changing. At first, it was, I hated it. I hated my time there. But I think when that, when I was now getting to week 5, 6, 7, I started getting exposed to people, realizing that, oh, they're not uptight, they're great guys. They even grew fond of me. So I started actually building a relationship with these people. And it made the experience bearable and more fulfilling. Because you see, at first, there was that anxiety, acclimatizing to change, new people, a work environment, something that I'd never really been exposed to before. So um, it was a really demanding time for those 2 months, but July was really good. And also because, like I told you, the Shimika things became a little bit less demanding of me, and I was now able to take my time doing the things that I was doing. I didn't really experience that much fatigue and exhaustion, and so I was able now to strike a balance. And so by the time I was getting to week 8, I had built such a good relationship and such good rapport with the people there. Because now, what I did on week 4, I approached my manager. I told her I have a schedule that I'm supposed to follow, which is actually a schedule that that I curated. I gave the impression that it was the school that curated for me, but I curated it for myself, just to make sure that I hold myself accountable in that whole process and learn as much as possible during that period. And so I did. I showed it to her and I told her, because I was also supposed to fill a daily log for each week, and I shared it with her. And I think at that point, my relationship with her started becoming better because we weren't really experiencing so many clashes, so many issues. It wasn't bad actually. I think the first 3 weeks were terrible. Tulikuwa tu tunakwaruzana, it was issue after issue. But I think by that time, when I also showed her that I'm genuinely focused and intentional about this internship, kind of, so you know what, huyu ni mtu anataka kazi, and you know he's very dedicated to this. So I think that gave her a good impression of me. And so when I gave her that schedule, I made sure that I followed it uh, at first for those first 4 weeks as best as I could, um, before showing it to her, so that now when I showed it to her, she can see, oh, you've already done this 4 weeks. So what are you doing for the next 4 weeks? I'm doing procurement and receiving. I'm doing back office operations. I'm doing customer care. You know, each week had its own department that I was supposed to go to. So I didn't get to film my time in every department, but I filmed. Actually, what happened was for week 6, 7, and 8, I ended up doing um, back office operations because one of the back office attendants or clerks that were that was there went on leave, and because the back office work is a lot, they needed somebody to fill that gap. So they brought me in. They said, you know what, let me teach you how to do this, and you can help us out. So because the leave lasted for around 3 weeks, I couldn't do um, the other departments, but it was still good enough because back office operations is like the backbone of the whole entire operation, because everything runs through the back office. So I did marketing through the back office because I connected very well. Actually, we still talk with the head of marketing. Actually, she's the former head of marketing because she left uh, Quickmart, but after I left, she got a new job. But at the time, I connected really well with her. We became really close friends. We still talk, and she was amazing. I helped her out with marketing. We did a couple of things. She showed me how to create the price tags, the warblers for the offers, how to read memos. So I learned a lot through the back office because everything ran through there, you know. I was also able to do management where I actually hung out with the manager. So my relationship with the manager actually became so much better. But obviously, her temperament was very different from the kind of leadership that I aspire to be under, or even um, lead people with. It wasn't really one that I agreed with, but you know, we're all different. It is what it is. But we actually had a day where we hung out for 3 hours, where we were just sharing and talking about how management has been for her, how she is um, approached it, how she has adapted, how successful it's been, how many challenges she's faced, and just what it takes. And it was actually one of the best conversations I had, honestly, which was very ironic because I was very uptight with her. Oh my god, because I was always thinking, what if anapata makosa? What if it becomes a problem? What if there's just something, you know? And so I really wasn't sure whether being close with her was a good idea. But yeah, we actually had a really, really, really good and constructive conversation. It was really helpful. It was really good. I loved it. It was amazing, and it was very insightful. It was very insightful. And yeah, that was the final week. Actually, I also did customer care on that final week. Actually, what ended up happening is I squeezed all of the other departments in that final week. So week 5, 6, and 7, I did that. It wasn't actually 6, 7, and it was actually 5, 6, and 7. I did back office. Week 8, um, I did the all the other departments, all the other uh, three departments. It was management, it was customer care, marketing, and then I decided to extend for one extra week, and I did every other department. So I went back to receiving because I did receiving within the first 4 weeks, procurement and receiving. I did store flow and merchandising. I did um, I did back office as well. I was balancing all of these things out. I did customer care again. I did um, management and compliance. I did. Which one else did I do? I think there's one I'm forgetting. Um, hmm. Category buying. I can't remember to be honest. But yeah, I did all of them during that final week. And during that final week is when we were also having our commissioning ceremony for Ishimika. Because now, remember I told you that we did the program in 8 weeks, which was the same 8 week period that I did my internship. So all of these things were coming to an end at the same time. And because things got easier over time and I acclimatized, I adapted. By the time my internship was coming to an end at Quickmart, in fact, it's one of the reasons why I extended. I just found it difficult to leave because I made so many good friends, so many relationships. My relationship with the manager actually got better. So I just felt like, you know what, I would really love to stay for one more month because my internship was valid for 3 months, but the university needed 2 months. I would have extended for the third month and gotten paid, but I think because of the exhaustion and just how demanding that whole stint was, those 3 months were. Hata kama nilikuwa nataka hiyo pesa, even if I wanted the money, I couldn't. My body was just, it was just craving for rest. And also during that July, my sister got really ill. Unfortunately, she was rushed to hospital. She actually missed that whole month because she was hospitalized. And so I felt like because I wasn't there for her during that July period, I needed to be there for her during that August period because now she came back home for holiday. And so as in, I just felt like everything aligned perfectly that August because I finished my internship. Actually, the program ended and we did the commissioning ceremony on 9th of August. Then I finished my internship on 10th of August. So I went for the commissioning ceremony, then I went for my last day on 10th. And then from Monday, I was done. So I went back on Wednesday for assessment because my not industrial supervisor, my university supervisor came and it wasn't even that deep. Hata angekuja honestly. He wouldn't have come. Shouldn't have come. But yeah, he came. He saw where I was working. He told me what I needed to do. And when I went on Wednesday, I did not go as an employee. I went as a customer. So I dressed how I felt like, and I engaged with the guys, and talked to them, had a good time. It was delightful to see them again. In fact, I just wished I stayed. I'm gonna I wished I stayed for the money and for the relationships, but I'm glad I didn't because there are much greater things than the money. My relationship with my sister cannot be compared to my relationship with anybody. So even if I wanted to stay so that I can continue bonding with those guys, my sister was way more important, and my body needed rest more than it needed the money. And even the money that I got during that period, it was good enough. So I'm grateful for that as well. And so when we closed out Heshimika and I closed out the internship, I felt so relieved. And I was spending time with my sister now, being there for her, being there with her that whole month. It was just. And also on that month, we went and celebrated my grandma's um, 87th birthday. So that's also another highlight of my year. And I'm so glad to see her grow old and see these um, days, because majority of them they leave us during this time, but she's seeing them and she's going to continue to see more and more, and I'm so glad and so happy that she turned 87 this year. And yeah, um so there was that. And then uh one of the other highlights that I didn't mention was I had my first party this year. Because I'm not really a party guy. I've never really found any delight in partying, clubbing, being outside, all of that. But I had my first party this year, which ironically I was the host. I was celebrating my sister's birthday and my brother. Yeah, he's my brother at this point. My cousin, Geoffrey's birthday, because they actually shared a birthday with my sister. Well, Geoffrey was born on 14th Feb. My sister was born on 15th Feb. So we we celebrated them. I hosted the whole thing, obviously with the help of amazing souls in Edna and Christian and Duncan as well. And it was such an amazing time. Yeah, actually, I need to do more parties in 2026. But yeah, that was also another highlight of my year. Um, Yeah. So August ends, then we hit September. So September, I now start thinking about, making more money, right? Because now at least I have a foundation, and all the other efforts that we try to explore zilienda. Then also another thing is I decided to take that time for myself and just reconnect with myself, and so that was a very critical point in time for me. So September came, and I rested as well, just as I did on August, and I had a splendid time. Nothing much there. And then October, because actually we took a break from Ishimika as well. And then October came, we did phase two of the Ishimika program, which was um, the one-on-one sessions. The commissioning ceremony was actually very amazing. We celebrated them, we commissioned them, and we have those photos on our social. So it was a pretty amazing time, and yeah, it really went well. And then um, uh 2025 November, I turned 21. I saw another year. It was so delightful, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have seen another year. Now, by the way, I didn't mention this. September and October, the reason why I was resting was because they had a strike. So this worked in my favor. Because remember, I'm supposed to go back to school on September. This was after all that I've just talked about. So I'm supposed to go back to school in September. But I'm low key glad there was a strike, despite the fact that it's gonna set us a bit back, which it actually has, because we have not finished the semester. It has been extended all the way to February, just like this year January, but now this time in February, because the strike was longer. It actually went all the way to mid-November. They started the strike in September. They did September, October, then mid-November, and after mid-November, uh, I actually, after all that, after phase two, then mid-November I went back to school now. And at this point, I had relaxed. I had taken some time, relaxed, and you know had some time to myself, and I'm glad I did. And you know, nakimbizwa bado, just like last time. It's not easy, but yeah, I did. I've been doing my semester till now. I actually just went on a Christmas break, then we go back and continue. It's gonna be demanding still, but yeah, I'm waiting to see how it goes. But so far, so good. Everything has been a bit smooth, you know. Right now, I wouldn't say I'm ending on a high financially, because I invested the money that I had in my brother. He wanted to do driving. He's very passionate about that, and I was able to support him, because at this time I was actually balling. Let me put it that way, because I had some good money, so I was able to support him in that, and I'm so happy for him. Honestly, I'm so glad. He is so elated that now he's a verified driver. He's a licensed driver. And so I'm looking to buy those GLEs and BMWs, and actually it's BMV, and those Audis and Lamborghinis and all those cars, and drive them together with him. I feel like that's a huge highlight of my year. This year I've also gone out with people, connected with my friends, had such an amazing bond with them. I have spent money well, you know, um, and yeah, I've been able to, like I said, uh, I know I didn't, I kind of ghosted people, but when I came back in November, late October, November till now, I've been really reconnecting with them, and it's been really nice. So I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for that. And one last thing. Now, this year, you see the money that I got from QuickMart. Now, my dad has been very adamant on financial education. So he's been, honestly, even my cousin can say this. Anaweza tupata tu tumechill pale kitchen ama kwa nyumba ama kwa sitting room, or we're watching something, we're just doing something. And then he will just start talking about, do you guys invest? Did you guys open an Ethica account? Did you guys open a CDS account? And so during that period, that's what he was doing. He was really creating that initiative in us to do so. And so I'm I'm really proud and glad to announce that I started my own business. Actually, we started our own business, me and my brother, Geoffrey, on poultry. It's a poultry business. We invested a bunch of our money in it. Actually, Geoffrey has his own story. He he also, during that time when I was at QuickMart, he was also getting involved in initiatives that made him some cash. So he took that cash and invested it in this business, just as I did take the cash from QuickMart and invested it in this business. So since September, we have been having a poultry business, and it's bound to give us yields this coming year of 2026. And I can't wait for the fruits of that labor. And I'm so grateful to God, because if I didn't know any better, I would have spent that money. I feel I would have spent that money poorly. But I'm glad that I took that money and I invested it into something worthwhile. And him as well. I have, you know, we are business partners, equally 50-50%. In fact, everything that we've invested in this business has been 50% each. So we're looking to see how we can expand that poultry business this coming year. And actually, we are hosting that poultry business at his home in Limuru, because at least there are resources there that can facilitate that, because here at our home we don't really even have the space to keep the chicken. So that was really, really uh, coming in handy for us. So that is another highlight of my year. The other highlight is, now, I expressed a need at the end of August. I expressed a need to Heshimika to be given a more expansive role, so that I can contribute more extensively to the vision, to the mission at Heshimika. And I had so many ideas, and so many initiatives that I wanted us to introduce and do to propel Heshimika to the next level. So I boldly told them, you know what, I wanna contribute more meaningfully, and I would like an elevated role, to a strategic position. Not that community experience is not a strategic position, but in terms of decision making and pushing forward of initiatives, like an executive level kind of position, which I knew I was pushing, to be honest. But I mean, in this life, you take your swings. The ones that you're going to miss, you miss. The ones that you're going to make, you make. You never know what will happen. So I shot my shot, right? And I sent an official email to my executive director and to Coach, the founder, and uh, they got back to me and they told me, uh, obviously, take a chill pill, of course, because what do you mean you want to be head of strategy? One, you've not even finished school. Two, you don't have experience. Three, you don't even know what it entails, because I was interviewed by the executive director and I realized, oh my God, there's so much I'm yet to learn. It's not just about having ideas, it's about knowing how meaningfully and viably to execute them using data backed decision making mechanisms, and knowing how to mobilize and leverage resources and teams to be able to do so, and also knowing what is available as far as resources is concerned to help you execute, especially in view of the strategic vision of the organization and where you want to be in the stipulated time that you've outlined in the strategic plan. So there was so much that I've come to know now that I didn't know at the time. And so when, I had that meeting with my executive director, she brought me back to reality. She kept me in check and she guided me better. She helped me channel my energy better. And so she told me, first things first, find a replacement for your role. Because I can't just be asking to be, head of strategy, and I'm leaving my role as community experience officer unattended. So she told me, you need to find a replacement. That's number one. Number two, you're going to be training. We didn't really get to train much because, she has a lot on her plate, and a lot has just been going on, even in terms of uh, forming the strategic alliances that we need to form to make sure that next year's ELP program is a success. And also for the ones, because we have phase three. Phase three is internships or apprenticeships for the mentees that have just been commissioned and graduated. So we are putting down the right mechanisms and procedures to make sure that they are assimilated into those internship roles. And the memorandum of association, no, wait, the memorandum of understanding, the MOUs that needed to be signed and the contract that needed to be signed have been in talks. Actually, I think they just signed them this month. I'm not so sure, but because it's only the executive director that knows all of this stuff. I think that's what they've been doing. So I think also getting that time to have those meetings with me and guide me and train me have been a bit challenging. But we did have like two calls during, that is the whole of September to now, just to show you how hectic it's been. And she's been able to share a couple of insights here and there. I've also been doing my own studying online, ChatGPT, coming in clutch, YouTube, all of these resources that I can use, I've been able to leverage, and I'm just gaining more knowledge and I'm growing in that space, in that area. And I think it's been a very, let me just say that this year has been a very insightful year. It has exposed me to a lot. I've been exposed to a lot, as in, I have learned a lot. Hey, even processing all those changes has been a bit challenging. I think that's why I needed that time between August and October to myself to be able to process all of those things and just gain. But it created a momentum in me to just want to push and move fast and go and go and go and go and go. And so that's another highlight, that I was able to, at least plant that seed in their minds, and they know that George is very invested in this vision. And so they have been able to guide me where they can. I've also started the process. I've gotten the replacements that I need. Now I'm just training them, and they're going to complete the training in January, and assimilate them into that role fully. And then now I can be elevated. But I have actually already been given a much significant role. I'm going to mention that at the end. But that was the initial idea. You get your replacements, and then we elevate you. But it seems that Christmas came early, actually, pun intended. But yeah, I got that as a Christmas gift. I consider it as a Christmas gift because they shared with me that news actually 2 weeks ago. Yeah, but I'll share what that new role is at the end. But yeah, I I was able to share my interest in contributing to the vision more meaningfully and in a better position, and they took that positively, and they guided me on how well to approach it, not just saying to be elevated, but you need to build up to it. On top of that, I was able to share some of my ideas with them so that they see I'm not just saying, oh, I want to be, head of strategy, or I want to be given this new role that's, more crucial and, uh, you know, decision invested, all that. It's like, here are some of the ideas, here are some of the things that I want us to implement. And they look at them and they're like, yo, this guy has something. It got so serious that even coach called me and he wanted to see those ideas himself. So he told me to send them those ideas. To send him those ideas. Not just because when he left our executive director in charge. So everything that I was doing, I was running it by her. I wasn't even reaching out to coach. I was saying that she will be the one to reach out to coach because of protocol and not want to undermine her authority or any of that stuff. So I was running it by her fully. And so when coach called me, um, not even because the executive director told him that there are these ideas per se, but because he just wanted to check on me and he wanted to check on the team. So I think he was calling. I told you I just like 12, and the Heshimika admin team, the in-house team, was around 9 of us. So 9, 10. The others were for the youth spark team. And so he was just checking in on us once in a while. And so when he did, I was able to share with him. I told him, what, I have these ideas. I've been sharing them with Eula. And this is what I'm thinking we could do to elevate Hishimika and take us to the next level. And he said, what, send them to me. Let me see them. And he was like, yo. And he has actually been prompting the executive director to be more meaningful in looking into them. So I think that's a step in the right direction. It's just about taking your shots, taking your swings. So it doesn't matter. Don't be afraid. Do it. You know, Alex has always talked about if you're afraid of looking stupid, there's nowhere you're going. Like, look stupid. And everyone will look stupid forever having doubted you. Let them doubt you. Let them laugh at you. Let them mock you. But you do what you gotta do. Keep pushing. Keep doing uh, what you ought to do, and eventually you'll win. As in, as long as you put in the work, you'll win, and as long as God's grace is upon you, you'll win. You know, so you just gotta keep yourself grounded. You gotta keep pushing. You gotta keep putting the effort. You gotta keep doing what you gotta do, and eventually things will work out. So, uh, yeah. Um, okay, before I mention that new role, there are other two highlights that I want to mention. I started my consultation business, and I have been consulting with one business owner, and I have also had a branch of mentorship for it. I also have the Preply thing, right? I know these are a lot of things, but you see, they're not that active, so they're just like side hustles, so to speak. But they're also building my capacity in terms of teaching, in terms of, uh, you know, um, practicing what I have learned in school, and being able to implement it also in my own operations, and helping others do the same and help them build successful, thriving businesses. So I started that with a voter. It's been active, especially since September. Yeah, I've had some pretty consistent sessions with them, with the people that I've been consulting with, or that have been consulting with me, and it's been really interesting. In fact, even one of my friends from high school reached out to me to consult on a startup that he wants to start. So I was like, yo, this is good. Although I haven't really been charging them because I know that I don't want to be a charlatan. I don't want to give you value and then you pay me and then it doesn't end up working, because you see, nobody's teaching me how to be a consultant. I'm learning from the internet. I'm learning from the resources that I find online. I'm just trying to practice this new thing. And so depending on the results that they get, then I see, yo, you know what, I'm doing well, you know. I'm actually not fumbling this. I'm actually helping people out. So that's the other thing. The last one before I talk about the new role is I I got approached by one of my dad's friends who is in the agricultural sector, and he's been working on this initiative of introducing uh, agriculture courses on emerging technologies, or leveraging emerging technologies for agriculture in universities. And so he has been in negotiations with some of the top universities in Kenya, one of them being Z.Tech, which is actually the main one because that's the one he decided to start with. And so he called me to be part of the team that's doing the curriculum development for those courses. I don't know whether he heard that I did curriculum development with Ishimika, but I don't think he did. He just knows that I'm doing business innovation technology management in school. And so because I am well conversant with the tech, artificial intelligence and systems thinking, he said, you know what, bring this guy on board and he's going to help us out because I don't have to be an agricultural expert or an agriculture professional. I don't even need to know much about it because there's artificial intelligence to help me out with that. So he brought me on board and he said, you know what, we need you, help us. And so there are videos that I've been documenting that journey so far, and so you will see them. I'll be uploading them over time because it's something that has come actually the week before Christmas. In fact, I got the news of my promotion at Heshimika the week before Christmas, and just around the same time, actually, that same day, yeah, it was that same day. Uh, no, I got uh, the the message. I was reached out to by my dad's friend, like was it on Monday? Yeah, no, it was on Wednesday the previous week, and then we met again on Sunday, and then we agreed to do a meeting with one of his associates on Monday, and so I was introduced to that idea on that week. Um, Wednesday, and then the next week on Monday is when I had my first meeting. And then on that Monday, because coach and the executive director told me that they wanted to meet me. I didn't know what it was about, but they told me on Saturday that they wanted to meet me, and so we scheduled for the meeting on that Monday evening. So Monday morning, I went for my first strategic meeting with this organization of the agriculture courses, and then on that evening, I jumped into that meeting. It was actually a surprise. So they just told me, you know what, um, we want to offer you a promotion, we want to offer you a new role. Although, to be quite frank, it's not a paid role. It's still a volunteering role, but it's still valuable. It gives me exposure. It elevates uh, the clearance and the authority I have in terms of contributing to the vision more meaningfully, and that's a good thing. So um, there is that one for the agriculture and curriculum development that I've been introduced to, and since it came in late December, majority of the work will be in January because they're looking to kickstart the courses late January. The last Saturday of January, that's when they're looking to start the courses in Z-Tech. I think they've already concluded the talks. They've signed the MOUs. Now it's upon us. It's me and his associate who are preparing and curating those curriculums and um, preparing them for the courses to begin come uh, late January. So between this period of January, the first 3 weeks, it's going to be hectic still because there is that work, and then there is school because I'm going back to school to finish my semester, and then now the final one, Hishimika, gave me the 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 new role of um, program coordination lead. Makofi. So I know I'm gonna be training. Remember, also it's going to be hectic because I'm training the new recruits for the community experience officer role. But you see, it is come at a very strategic time because once I have trained them, I now pass the baton. I now pass the torch. I tell them, you know what, take over. You're going to be running that department. As you also consult with me if you need any clearance or if you face any challenges. And then as I now start working on this role of program development lead, which is actually the role that Bill used to have, I think because Bill is now focused on more of his personal projects, it has been uh, delegated now to me, something I'm really, really grateful for. And so it's actually, I saw how Bill handled it not last year, yeah, in 2025, this year, and it was hectic, it was crazy. As in, I don't think that's a responsibility that anyone can do um, part-time, it's a full-time thing, and it's also it requires a lot of mental fortitude, a lot of emotional bandwidth. It's a lot of work. It's crazy. But then again, you see, it comes with higher authority because I'm now basically what that role entails is running the whole program. So I'm literally running the whole of ELP. You know, Heshimika has many other sub initiatives. You know, it has one for high school. It has Million Excellency Network. You know, so for ELP specifically, I'm the one who is in charge now. So I think it's a good way for them to also test and see my capacity, my capabilities before they think about elevating me even further. So I'll I'll keep pushing, and the only way to push is by actually putting in the work and doing what I ought to do now. Okay, and um, doing it well, so that I can create a case for myself that, you know what, I deserve to be given more opportunities to do greater, to be better, so that I don't stagnate and I contribute more meaningfully to to the vision and to the mission. So that is the new role that I got, and I'm so grateful that the Lord has been doing these amazing things this year, and I'm looking to start that role. Actually, they told me I'll be starting in January. So this January is starting on a very high note. There's Heshimika, there's agriculture, curriculum development, there's the training of the community experience team, there is finishing my 4.1. So 2026 is looking to be a very great year because of, you know, this is my final year in campus, my fourth year. So I'm finishing my 4.1, then I do my 4.2, and then by the time we are starting our ELP 2026, I'll be finishing my final paper of 4.2 exam. So I feel like I'm just waiting to see how God will align me this year, how everything will, you know, just set up, and you know, how the end of the year is going to be. But so far, so good. I will say that 2025 has been an amazing and splendid year with so many highlights and so many good things. I've experienced so many wins. It's the first best year that I've experienced since 2019. If I'm to rank my years, by the way, um, since 20, 19, it will be 2023 at the bottom. That was the worst year. Actually, it's the worst year of my life, to be honest. Then 2021, another terrible year. And then, um, so that's 2023, 2021. Then 2024. 24 wasn't a great year for me. Like I said earlier, I was going through a lot of things internally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. There was just a lot. And then 2022 was fairly okay because I finished high school and I joined campus that same year, and there was a lot of changes that was happening. I became an adult that year, you know, in terms of, you know, turning 18. So it was also a very interesting year. It had its own ups and downs, but it was, you know, fairly better than 2024. And then from there I have 2020. 2020, yeah, 2020 was a pretty good year for me. I know it wasn't the best for the world because of COVID, but it was for me, as in I didn't experience many challenges or many issues. It was actually a really good year in terms of, you know, I even went for vacation on that year. I relaxed. I performed well in school that year. I didn't have so much pressure. You know, I was actually able to enjoy life. I actually got fat that year, which is a good thing in terms of seeing how well I was eating. So, yeah, and then now 2019. 2019 was one of the best years I've had in the last decade. And then 2025 now ranks number one. It was such an amazing year. So out of all those 7 years, 2025 has been the best year. So since 2019, since pre-COVID, this has been the best year that I've had, and I'm looking forward to an even better and greater 2026. So yeah, look out for the videos on my time at QuickMart, and I don't have videos. I'll see what I can find for Heshimika and share it with you guys. And if there's anything else, really, mm, yeah. because I know you can't really see the exhaustion, the the demanding nature of those moments, because those are not things that you can film. Those are only things that I personally can feel. But it really took a huge toll on me, and at least I've shared that with you guys, and uh, now you have perspective on how my year was. And you see, the thing is, just like a diamond in the rough, for you to actually make it and for you to be of great substance, you need to go through stress, you need to go through pressure, you need to subject yourself to demanding things, like things that demand greatness of you. You can't be complacent and incompetent and expect to win in life. No. And it requires you to do big things. It requires you to take big leaps of faith, to go beyond what is within your reach or within your capacity, to stretch yourself, and maximize on the opportunities that you get, that you are exposed to, that come your way, that you are given, and make the most of them and just build yourself. So that's what I've done this year, and I'm looking to do more of that next year, because it's an approach that has proven to work. So I'm gonna double down on it and integrate new strategies and new approaches that I get in the coming year. And the wins that come, oof, I can't wait. And I'm trusting God for an amazing 2026 ahead. But so far, it's I feel like 2025 has set the momentum and the trajectory as it should, and I'm looking forward to such an amazing year. My 22nd year now. Um, I turned 21, like I said, so I'm looking forward to a great 22nd year, and hopefully things go well for me and for my family as well. So I'm also grateful for such an amazing family, for amazing friends, amazing colleagues, amazing people. Actually, this year has taught me a lot about relationships and how they can um, you know, contribute to a fulfillment in your life. And so I'm really grateful to God that I have had these people around me, people who have supported me, people who have loved me, people who have elevated me, people who have strengthened me, people who have added a lot of value to my life. And I can't believe that I get to go into 2026 with them. It's honestly a delight, and I'm grateful to God for that. So I'll be updating you guys on the poultry business come next year and how we progress, and on my consultation business as well. Also on Heshimika and the role that I have. I'll be updating you on the um, agricultural the agriculture courses that we are curating in the organization that I'm working with. I'll be revealing what that organization is soon. And um, yeah, I think those are the four things that I am uh, into right now. And also school, yes. So Heshimika, Avota, the agriculture curriculum development, the um, the poultry business, school, and also financial education and personal development. So yeah, I'll be updating you guys on those things as we move forward. And yeah, I'm hoping that this coming year I'll be a lot more consistent with uploading um, and documenting my journey, because I don't want to be documenting my journey at the end of the year by telling you guys what happened. I want you guys to be there with me. I want to be filming and uploading in that moment. Nisikuja hapa kurecord a 1 hour 2 hour video just giving a recap of it all, you know so I want to be a bit more consistent and a bit more intentional. So I want to actually curate a calendar, a personal branding calendar, to help me with that journey documentation process, that I can streamline it out. So I want to set up some systems that will streamline uh, avenues of my life. Hopefully this coming year, 2026, I want to get an assistant. Or if I can build an AI agent to be my assistant, it will still be good. But I really do need help, because God has opened the floodgates and things are looking really up for me. And I'm hoping that this year everything will go smoothly and well. So, with that said, watch out for those updates, and let's see what 2026 has to offer. I'm grateful to God for an amazing 2025, and I believe that Marcus or Joffrey, my brother, will be able to share with you guys how his journey has been. I don't know whether he will, because he doesn't have a YouTube channel. I don't know whether he wants to document his journey, but I think I've uh, I've been influencing him on that because he never used to be that open to the camera, but now it's like he's open to it. He takes videos, he takes photos. So who knows? Maybe he might start documenting and sharing. Oh, this is what I've been doing, and this is the progress I'm making, and we are making that progress together. So yeah, let's see if he will. If he won't, it's still fine. You still got me, and I'm sure he'll be more involved in my journey documentation next year. You'll see him in more videos. And yeah, I'm looking to make 2026 an amazing, 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 and productive year. So, with that said, it's a step at a time. Cheers. And hopefully, uh, I will see you guys in 2026. And we're going to have a splendid and a productive 2026. Yeah.